A recent commission for a bust involved, at my suggestion, painting said sculpture in a realistic way and/or with a multimedia finish. Ancient sculpture, and indeed architecture, was in fact often painted, gilded, etc., right up to medieval times, albeit to a casual observer this idea might seem rather more like waxworks and not so much as high art. The bust was modelled in clay and made flat-backed to go into a one-piece mould, whereby it was intended to be hollow cast, instead of which it was made solid in ceramic resin for stability, which also happens to be very heavy. This composite medium is surprisingly stone-like in look and weight and hardness. All paints were used for realism and not two-dimensional artistic effect. Gloss paint for eyes and lips and insignia, etc. Oil paints for silky skin. In the event I found a coal enough black without a sheen hard to find, so more research is needed on finishes. The insignia were moulded in situ on the clay master. No highlighting or shading, indeed no toning, was used, not because the scale was life-size, but on principle, because the object, like all models, is three-dimensional, and to do so would have naturally suggested an arbitrary and indeed actually variable light source, which would have contradicted realism, insofar as the sculpture would then appear either in perspective or worn like cloth, etc., or strangely spotlit. In short, overdone yet under-detailed, especially when the normal less than 1:1 scale model kit or figure. In painting, flesh itself, invariably best done in oils, demands the nuances of blood and bone distribution integral to the living body in depth, and an attention to the personal complexion, health, etc., and not necessarily in relation to the subject's ethnic group either. A figurative artist uses two-dimensional techniques exclusively on flat surfaces to achieve a more or less realistic effect rather than an artistic one, and these techniques that I use here really are much more scientific than those other people might use to finish off painted statuary. As I've said before, painted statuary is actually an ancient tradition.